I couldn't even tell you, and I'm the one that
It's the
has
intro.
to. It's the intro. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Anyway. What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us at Walking 90. As you can tell, Yogi is not here. He is being a good husband, probably because of punishment for a wild tweet that he is going to post tomorrow. I don't know. It's just a guarantee. But I am Kyle, aka Mr. Henny Derby. I'm going to have that be my nickname for the remainder of the year and probably next year as well. And I'm joined, thankfully, by wonderful co-hosts. So I'll start on my top right. It is Eboni. Eboni, what's up?
What up, fam? Not much. Just chilling, about to crack open this Mountain Dew for this show because, that's the type of energy we bring in with League One because League's haunted and defense is optional, apparently.
And then, perfect. On the bottom right, we have a man who might leave at any moment. We don't know. Chip, how's it going?
Good. As Kyle alluded, I am on Baby Watch 2K22. So while all my compatriots are enjoying a wonderful adult beverage, I'm drinking jasmine tea and water because I might have to leave this house at any second.
No doubt.
It is what it is. And trust me, it's always fun. At least it's not like 4 a.m. because those are always brutal. And then the person on my bottom left who got to watch his team blow a 4-0 lead and has the wonderful score of the most chaotic game ever in USL League One history. Brandon, how's it going?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I'm still living in the past, drinking off of that Omaha Greenville Victory coffee right now. So I'm ignoring the thing behind me and living in the past with this coffee here.
It's probably for the best, but yeah, so right now it is our mid-season what the fuck show. Basically, we are at the midway point. Every team is either at the midway point or they're close to the midway point, or you're Union Omaha and you still have God knows how many more games in hand to make up. But we figured this was the perfect time to do this. We each have our teams of the season, including Yogi. So if you haven't seen that on any of our social medias, make sure to do that. Or you can follow us at Walking 90 Pod. And we are part of the 2 Cents family. But one of the things we wanted to do mid-season was have a few wonderful guests. Have people that you may have heard of, you may have seen. And they're going to join us and they're going to spend time talking about their season, their club's their season, how things are going, what they're hoping to turn around. So we'll have that coming up as well. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about the what the fuck happened game last night, the ultimate chaos game of the year. I'm sure that's everyone's chaos game. We're going to keep that later on, but who wants to go first on what the hell happened?
We're going to say Brandon for last because he was there and he got to witness it. I'm going to start because I was watching my team, the Sounders, play terribly, but they played. And it was like I was getting alerts. And I was like, damn, Greenville, what are you doing? Like, all right, this game's over, whatever. And then it was 4-0, and then it was 4-1, then it was 4-2, then it was 5-2. And then the score was just like throwing me off. I was like, is it my fault, mob? Is it broken? I don't know. But then everyone was like, they're in it. And I was like, I thought we were reaching all G's territory and it went the other way for the all G's moment. And I was like, damn. And that last goal by them was what the fuck? I don't even know. This league makes no stupid sense. But damn, am I glad to be in it.
Yeah, I was talking some shit before the game as Bolt's biggest fan. And so all of a sudden when they went down 5-2, I was getting a lot of comments from people on Twitter while I'm at my wine tasting. I was like, hey man, I'm just trying to get a joke off. I'm trying to drink some wine, not go to the hospital tonight. Leave me alone. And I was texting Brian from Tormenta about like, hey, like you got to do the tweet. If they score more goals, you got to do the odd G's tweet. And then all of a sudden I looked down at my phone and it's 4-5. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
I think for me, it was kind of watching. All right, it got to 2-0. It's like, that's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. And then it got the 3, and then it got the 4. I was like, I feel like Greenville's going to just take their foot off the gas, and it's totally fine. For maybe Tormenta will get a goal or two, and then they got 2 goals, and I was like, okay, keeps it interesting. If they keep it at 4-2, maybe get a goal early enough in the second half, 4-3. They got plenty of time to equalize, and then Greenville scored again. I was like, okay, I don't know about this. I don't know. I'm not writing this game off, but I would not have placed a bet saying Tormenta would come back. And then it got to 4-5, and I'm just like, okay. And both teams had plenty of chances. There was, Greenville had a couple chances. Tormenta had a shot off the post, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, someone's going to score another goal. I just don't know if Greenville's going to get a 6 or if Tormenta's going to get a 5th. And then just right near the end too with the equalizer, I was just laughing because the whole time, and I think everyone had the same reaction. It's like everyone that wasn't a Greenville fan had the same reaction. I really want Tormenta to draw. I really want Tormenta to get this goal to make it 5-5 and just make it absolutely chaos and to see the scenes. And then it happened, and I don't know if Bolt might still be tweeting, and I would not blame Bolt at all.
No. One of the million Omaha supporters group had a tweet today, and it was like, you're a 10, but you blow a 4-0 lead and end up with a 5-5 draw. You're a 2 and you're Greenville. And I was like, that's pretty good. That's really good.
You know what? That's actually really good.
Yep. Allow it. All right, Brandon. We've given you time.
Man, I don't have much to say. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was 4-0, and I was like this close to just going to the gym. Like I had to go to the gym that night, and I was like, it's 4-0, 30 minutes in, like forget it, man. I'm gonna go work out. I don't want to stay up too late tonight. And then it was like 3-1 and 3-2 or was it 4-1 and 4-2? And I'll sit down. I had to put my son to bed, and so I guess it's that out of order. I had to put my son to bed and then go to the gym. And I was like, I'm gonna wait to put my son to bed until we get far along. And then, it was like 4-0, great. Started putting my kid to bed. Things start going off again because I asked Sterling another Greenville goal and halftime. So I had 15 minutes apiece. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have plenty of time. Everybody's gonna come out again, okay, like it's gonna settle down. And as you can see here, keeps disappearing with the sun over here, whatever. That did not happen. Greenville did not come back out, I don't think. And it just got more and more disorganized. And I don't want to be negative like that. It was a fantastic game, and it just looked. The second half was really disorganized, and Tormenta looked incredible, and they looked like they were on a mission to come back and win the game. I mean, I texted somebody when they were 3-5, and I was like, I literally said, I think it's going to end 6-5 Tormenta. Like, I'm really worried that this is going to end 6-5 because it felt like they had total control, and which is totally different from the first half. So, yeah, I mean, I can't be mad about it. Like, I mean, it was incredible, and the first half was absolutely insane. I don't think we'll ever see 2 halves in a Greenville game like that ever again. So I'm not super worried about the game. It's like a fluke both ways. I'm happy to go back to 1-0s after this week. Like bring back the 1-0s, man. But yeah, no, it was I enjoyed it as just as a soccer game. I thought it was fantastic, even though my team gave up 4 goals.
It'd be like that. Yeah, it's kind of funny because you get this game where it was just absolute chaos, absolute no defending whatsoever. And then we get the Fire and Ice Cup. And that was the exact opposite. It was very calm. It was very whatever. There was some chaos, but that was just a 1-0. That ended 1-0, and I was like, okay.
Well, the weirdest part,
complete opposite.
Yeah, the weirdest part about that was that they Fuego went ahead after the red card. Like that's like the weirdest thing about it.
It wasn't a red card though. Like, was it a red card?
I mean, sure. And I guess if you want, yes, we're going to be confident in our answer. Yes.
The best part about the pro referees is we get to find out a week later if they were right or not when half the red cards get overturned on appeal. So we'll find out if it was a red card.
You always know. Yeah.
I'm going to say it wasn't, but I feel like it was harsh. I'll say that. It was a harsh card to give.
Yeah. But the
okay.
thing is, it's one of those where I don't think it'll get overturned. It was a second yellow, not a straight red. So you could make the argument that he did something worthy of yellow. And yeah, so I don't think it was a red either, but it might have been worthy of the yellow.
Yeah, and I mean it was the second yellow that got him, but I still think it was harsh. But
definitely
the next area, but this is the best part of this episode. That's going to be we'll get to all the team of the year. We'll get to all that stuff, but we want to have some lovely hosts. No, not lovely hosts. I'm the lovely host. Sorry, lovely guests join us.
Lovely's doing a lot of work in that.
For some of them, they are lovely. And for myself, I'm very lovely. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love the confidence. You keep that up, sir.
I will. And especially as I drink more Busch Light. But this next area, we're going to have different guests talk about their teams. We're going to have 5 minutes to cover it. Some of us are going to cover other teams because we didn't have a representative. Come on, guys. AKA Tucson.
Charlotte.
Come on. Charlotte, at least somewhat was there. Not the point. We're going to have that happen. So we're going to go from the bottom of the table up. So to cover FC Tucson is going to be Brandon, probably their biggest advocate.
Yes,
so,
I'm just an underdog advocate.
Have the solo cam.
No, you.
Nope. It's all you. It's all you.
Oh, there we go. Obviously this is a bit of a tough spot for Tucson. I mean, last place. What is it? How many points now?
13.
Do we have 13 points. Yeah. The thing is about Tucson that's both interesting and tough is, they've conceded less goals than honestly half the league at this point. I think they've conceded 21 goals this season. And I think everybody but in the top, in the top 5, I think a lot of people have conceded more. Madison's conceded more.
Tormenta has conceded more.
Tormenta's conceded more. North Carolina's conceded more. I mean, so they're in a good place defensively. Not to spoil anything, you already saw it. I put Master Antonio in for my, team of the year. I think they've been pretty good on defense. We talked about it earlier in the season that one of the biggest issues was just being exposed in the midfield and needing that. I think Kyle and Eboni brought it up specifically, needing someone to kind of sweep up in front of the defense so they're not having to be as proactive, which they're inherently proactive anyways. But it was. I think for me coming forward, there's a lot of work to do for Tucson. They've made a lot of changes, brought in new people, Fernando Garcia and Donny Toya and all them. It's going to be tough to climb the table. I think, Chip, you said they're on 1.1 points per game right now, right?
They need 1.56 points per game in order to hit 38, 39 points, which seems to be the number for the playoffs. So it's a tall order.
Last season, I mean, they basically did this very thing where they started the season with 0.9 or 1 point a game, basically, and then jumped up to 1.8. So anything's possible. It is July, so it's Tucson time. But there's a lot of work to do. And I will say, bringing in people like Fernando Garcia and Donny Toya is going to be huge for the team. And I think you can tell they're starting to gel offensively a little bit more, whereas earlier in the season, there was a lot of struggle in the final third, with typically Gio Clickstro is the one who's kind of helping build play into the final third. And last year, he was of the 3 forwards in their line, he was the one with the least amount of touches. And then this season, he's the one who's basically leading the line, getting more touches on the ball. Your wingers were getting a lot less touches and getting in a lot less dangerous positions than before. And there were a lot of issues offensively. And so I think the key going forward for Tucson is just that getting that offense kind of going. And you can see Donny Toya already coming and doing that. Fernando Garcia has already looked a lot more dangerous leading that line. And so there's a lot of good stuff. But like you said, Chip, it's 1.56 points per game is not a small task. And so it'll be tough. But I think they'll do decently. I don't know. Who Who knows? This league's so crazy. They could literally end up in the playoffs just like last year. Just with how, like Ebony said, optional defense is. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're at bottom of the table. They've gotten it better. They've gotten things a little bit better. Getting a draw against NoCo, getting a draw against Greenville, getting a win against Chattanooga. So at least like in the last 5 games, they seem to have put it at least collecting points, something that they weren't doing earlier. It was kind of just loss. At least now it's like, okay, they're getting draws. They got to win at Chattanooga. So now it's just a matter of, can you turn some of these draws into a few wins? So thank you,
for sure.
Brandon. The next team that currently sit in a tie for 9th, but they are below because of goal difference and fewer wins. They are one of the newer teams in the league. They have had as many home stadiums as 2021 Madison has kits and Omaha has supporter groups. We are going to add our lovely representative from Storm Chasers. So I'm going to try and get back to the solo cam. Mac, it's all you.
It's working good. So, yeah, we got to start with, was that a second yellow? Was that a second yellow?
I'm still saying no.
We'll find out. I don't think so. We were all there last night. It was our kind of home game, if you will. We don't have a home stadium yet, however. And, that I think makes it a little bit maybe uncomfortable for the players still. We're a first-year program. Our stadium has gone through some of the COVID delays, if you will, where it's not built yet. And so we have played at 2 different home stadiums so far. In northern Colorado, there's a couple different cities. Right now we're in the Colorado State University football stadium. And it's pretty fun. It's fun. But I think that we are looking forward to finally having somewhere that we can actually go. And there's going to be seats and our own, supporter section. It's kind of crazy starting a new team. I couldn't imagine being one of the staff of our franchise there, and I know that they're kind of taking the pitches that they get. They're going with what they can, and that would be probably the first thing that all of us have thought about is we don't have a home stadium yet. We look forward to having a home stadium. There's not a real home field advantage. In Colorado, we're known for having home field advantages with the high altitude. So that would probably be the first thing that we are trying to go through. Beyond that, there's been a lot of excitement at the very least in the team. We've got Para. Para is in the Golden Boot chase. He's just two down right now. We all knew from the beginning of the season that he would probably be one of the contenders. I'm sure that you guys did too. But that's definitely a pretty big thing, a big sense of pride. We've got quite a bit of support for this being a brand new team this year, and that's been exciting to kind of grow the supporters group, grow the fans, see it get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every single week. So we definitely look forward to having a home where I've talked to a lot of people, and they look forward to actually being able to go to those games once we have a home. Let's see. I can't hear anybody else right now, so I don't know if I'm getting any responses.
Oh, no, keep going. I was just going to let you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure. Technical difficulties, you never know. But, it's definitely a fairly international team. We've got 7, different countries represented on our team, which is pretty cool to have. Just you could see it growing here in the community. And it's going to be something big. We're just getting our feet underneath of us. There was actually, I remember talking to, the coach and some of the other people on the team. We didn't even have a practice facility. I think for like maybe it was like 2-3 days, nothing crazy, but that's the turmoil that this new franchise is going through. They're trying to figure it all out. And if that means that, I guess for a day or two, you don't have any place to practice in all of the region, you just got to take a day off and kind of come together as you can. So,
yeah, I definitely get as after 2020 with Madison not having to play in their home stadium, so they had to train in one spot and then play on a football field. It is tough. So, yeah, any players that can kind of power through that and still provide entertainment.
And it is entertaining. You know, we had some Madison fans the other day. We played Madison. We played the Fire and Ice Cup is what they were calling it last night. So playing against Fuego, and that was chippy, I feel like. That was entertaining, though. We've got one more at the current stadium, and then they go off to, you know, we actually don't know where our next home is after the next home game. So that is the way of being a new team in the year 2022. We just wanted to find a footing, you know, and I think that we have the ability to get up in the table. You know, we need more points, though. We definitely need more points, and we were hoping to steal a point yesterday, but that red card, I think, helped contribute to the point. It was just a late goal, really late goal, and you know, football's fun. But I was gonna say I would rather have a 5-5 game than a 1-0 game. You know, it's never fun losing 1-0, so I would enjoy a 5-5 game right about now.
So I know a lot of the NoCo front office listen to the pod. So since we have your ear right now, I have an idea for your next rivalry game. So just pick one of the Carolina teams because they have all the barbecue, especially like ribs and stuff, and just call it the Ribbed for Your Pleasure Cup.
Wait a minute.
No.
Wait.
All right.
Chip, sir.
Yeah, I gotta remove you for like a minute. You gotta go. You gotta go.
That was to you, front office. That wasn't for me. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you very.
I appreciate it, you guys. It's been great. You know, I hope that you guys can, you know, keep it going with the podcast and everything. And thanks for bringing me on tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where can people find you, and where can people find Storm Chasers?
Storm Chasers. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Storm Chasers SG. I'm on Twitter as well at MacAttack728. But definitely follow the Storm Chasers SG. You know, we're growing and we're having a lot of fun. We got a cool scarf, and you know, we got a lot of fans and some other fans that aren't exactly Storm Chasers yet that come over and sit with us at the stadium. And I guess that we kind of been causing a little bit of chaos with the opposing players, which is what it is. That's how we do it. So
there you go. Yeah, I was gonna say, for the Golden Boot, we did have two people pick NoCo players. Yogi had picked EVD, and Brandon had picked Para. So looking pretty good there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Para's on his way up. So thank you, Para. You know, we definitely love you. The fans love you. Fans love all of you. By the way, the Hailstorm. So
awesome. Thank you very much, Mac.
Thank you.
All right, I gotta add Chip back because he has to cover the next two teams. So Chip.
So this
was done. Are you done?
For now, I'm done. I'm
okay.
Done. So this was supposed to be Michael Creel, who you know and love from Twitter, but unfortunately, I gave him the wrong date because we were originally going to do it on the 21st, but then we changed it to the 14th, and I didn't tell him, so he's not here because he won't pick up his DMs because I guess he's inundated with DMs. So I'm talking Chattanooga. We all know him. We all love him or hate him or feel some way about him. And if anything, you definitely feel some way about Coach Ableda's choice of a pregame meal, which apparently is not working so well this year. So the Chattanooga Red Wolves were one of the only League One teams that didn't win in the first round of the Open Cup. But despite that, they started off pretty good. They've been in the playoff hunt for most of the year. And recently they have kind of fallen off and they now sit in 9th place. But unlike the team we're going to talk about next, they're sitting on 15 games. So there's only one team with more games in front of them. It seems to just be kind of a bad slide in form. They're still very much in the hunt. 10 teams are on 17 points or more. So like everybody except for Tucson really right now is definitely like in the thick of it. And Chattanooga has a couple things going for them. One of those is Mr. Galindrez, who last year was their super special talisman, who came in late, scored from late, and kept him in a lot of games and pushed him to the 3rd place in the league. He's starting more now, which is good for him. I believe he just got Player of the Week or Player of the Month as well. He scored some great goals. He's up there in the Golden Boot challenges, and yeah, it's just a matter of trying to get everything working together and getting their defense going back, because they can definitely score. In fact, they're one of only 4 teams in the league with a positive goal differential, which is crazy that there's so few teams, and 2 of them positive goal differentials aren't in the playoffs right now. So it's, as we know, this league is dumb. It doesn't make any sense. The rules are made up. It's just like, whose line is it anyways? I think Chattanooga, they definitely have the horses to get in the playoff contention. A couple teams seem to be dropping pace a bit. Fuego's had not the best run of form recently. Charlotte's had bad form recently. North Carolina's had bad form recently. So if that kind of continues and they continue to fall off, and Chattanooga kind of returns their more winning ways that they experienced in the beginning of the year, I think they're probably going to end up being a playoff team this year. They just need to get out of this meat grinder that is USL League One at the moment, because, you know, it's one of those things where getting a tie instead of a win, or getting a loss instead of a draw, it's not going to kill you. But if enough of it happens, all of a sudden you're out of the race. And it's really, really tight, and they just need to figure out how to be on the right side of those. And I think they'll probably be a playoff team. I don't think they'll host. I could see them being in like that 5th, 6th spot, and then probably, you know, they could be a spoiler, you know, the great offense, great everything else. But I think it's going to just depend. But yeah, I think they're definitely a playoff team, but they just need to kind of get their stuff together. And I am not Michael, and Michael is not on this podcast. But if you want to hear more about Chattanooga soccer, as well as Biggleswade United, just check out Soccer Chat. It's the Chattanooga soccer podcast. You'll know you're on the right one because it looks like a sad soccer ball.
I'm going to restrain myself. I'm just going to mention that Chattanooga's goal difference is still being boosted by winning 7-1 against Charlotte, and they haven't won a game since. That might be a sign. But, Chip, you get to go again, because next is the team that still is only played 12 games. So yes, they got plenty of games to make up, which is both good and bad in Union Omaha.
Yeah, for sure. So Omaha, I think if you listen to this podcast, you probably know this. Omaha won the league last year, number 1 seed overall, hosted Tucson, hosted Greenville, won both those games, won the playoffs last year. So defending champs, currently sitting at big old number 8 on the table, which is deceptive. As Kyle mentioned earlier, Omaha is on 12 games, while most of the rest of the league is on 15 games. So lots of games to make up. If you look at the points per game adjusted table, Omaha is sitting at 3rd place, which is pretty good. As of late, Omaha has been a little flatter than they were before, but they're still climbing up the table and everything else. Obviously, before we got to where we are now, Omaha made the final 8 of the U.S. Open Cup, which was super great. And it's also part of the reason why we have so many games that we need to make up. So it's a big challenge for Omaha. Omaha needs to, you know, find some more consistent scoring options. We've seemed to struggle recently in scoring and getting those wins. And I think for Omaha, the magic number is 11. And 11 is the number of home games that Union Omaha has left, which is crazy because we're not even to the halfway point in the season. But due to the weather and baseball scheduling conflicts and U.S. Open Cup, we've only hosted 4 home games so far. The first of which was a 3-0 win over the Fuego. But since then, Union Omaha has not scored at home since April. So that needs to, if Omaha wants to keep moving up, that needs to change this weekend. They face Tucson. And while Tucson is getting better, they're still probably the weakest team in the league. And Omaha, I think, needs to win. Like, they need to start getting those points. They need to start getting points at home. And that's what's going to really be the difference maker in them as they start making up those games. Because if you make up those games and you draw and lose, then it doesn't matter if you have games in hand. So Omaha needs to take care of business at home. They need to win these winnable games and keep up their pretty good on the road performance. Again, we're one of the 4 teams with a positive goal differential. I think this team seems a lot like 2020 Union Omaha. Pretty much all new guys who've never played together and everything else. And while they did have a lot of success in the Open Cup, we really haven't seen it yet in USL League One play on the table, despite essentially being 3rd place in adjusted points. But I think as the team continues to gel and coalesce and everything else, and hopefully get a new signing or two, we'll see Omaha start to actually make up room on the real table instead of just the fake table I make in Excel every week. So I think ultimately Omaha, I don't know if they'll necessarily make it into the top two, but I think Omaha will end up hosting a playoff game. And once you're in the playoffs, who knows what happens? You could get blown out in the first game, or you could win the whole thing. And I think for Omaha, just being in a position where they can be successful. We've already had a very successful season with the Open Cup, and it's just a matter of experiencing hopefully that same success in USL League One, and hopefully getting a chance to defend our title, because that would be great to do what Greenville's done and make the finals every single year of our existence. But to do that, a lot of work needs to be done still, both on and off the field. And I think, if you're an Omaha fan, we're in a pretty good spot, and we just need to make up those games and hopefully win a couple of them. So then it doesn't optically look bad like we're in 8th place.
I was going to say, if they win their 3 games at hand, let's just say if they win all 3, then they jump up to 7th. So the second, not 7th, 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. But we are going to shift over to Eboni, who's got the wonderful North Carolina contingent. So first, NCFC.
Yeah. All right. So NCFC, Dead Whales. If you were looking at this team from 2021 to 2022, it's vastly different. We're winning games. We're winning gritty games. We are scoring goals. We have a pretty good defense in front of our keeper. We actually have depth on the field and on the bench. We've got players coming in from all over, a good mix of veteran and youth. Where our academy is producing well with Cole Frame, Nick Holiday. It's different. It feels different. We have 2 games in hand, especially because if you look at Greenville, they played 16, only played 14. But we're in 7th. This is not where we were in 2021. This is our 2nd season in League One, and this is probably the most consistent they have been in terms of team building and playing all year. They have lost a little bit of form, but it's time to get back onto the winning side of things. What do they need? They need a little bit. They need a little bit more on defense. Right now, they've just added in Shaq. Another forward, don't know what we're going to do with that, but McLaughlin is scoring. He's the Golden Boot leader right now. We've got Skelton in the back, and he's proven to be a really good captain on the field. You've got veteran presence in Pekka, but you've got some really young talent in Showcat, and Molinas is coming into form after a very lengthy injury period, and he's got 2-2. This is a team that is hungry. John has done a good job of mixing well with the old and new, and this is going to be a fun team to watch, especially if they can keep it going for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there was anything, the biggest thing I think is North Carolina seems to understand the league now, where last year was kind of we'll drop down a league and we're just going to roll with the academy and hope for the best, and then that didn't work. So it was good to see them have that leap, and now you get to do a team that I'm sure you're going to enjoy talking about. Charlotte Independence, the epitome of defense does not matter, because we don't know what our goalie is going to do.
I've said this for like the last couple of pods. I still don't know what this Charlotte team is doing. Defense is optional all the way through this league, but even more so in Charlotte. We still don't know if they're actually like a good team or they're just catching all the bad teams at the right time. And we still don't know if that means that they actually do have a midfield that is like flowing and can play up to their forwards, or if they just aren't good. I don't know what to say about this team because it's just what the fuck. Every time they come on the field, it's either they're going at you for 20 minutes at a time and they're just making your defense tired so they get a couple goals, or it's like they are lost because a team can actually put together like 6 passes through their midfield and they're just kind of like, oh, well, I've never seen this before. And that's very evident in the 7-1 loss and the 4-0 loss and the 2-0 loss. It's just all over. And I don't even know if they know what they're doing. So, damn it. Like, somehow they're above us by a point, but we still have a game in hand of them. By us, I mean NCFC. And they're just sitting above that playoff line, but now they're getting into the second half of the season, and things are going to get chippier. And I don't know if they have the pace to continue to just kind of run at people all game, because Ibarra is not going to be able to do that much longer. So we'll see what this team does. I don't see them going to the bottom of the table, but I definitely don't see them making the playoffs. And that's just not me being biased. That's just me being like, that style doesn't work for this entire season, because now there's game tape to watch and people don't know. If people are starting to figure out, they're like, hey, they just don't have the legs and they don't have the surrounding talent to try to push that tempo all 90 minutes. So,
yeah, I definitely agree with I don't think they'll make the playoffs, not being a hater, just more at some point they're going to have to learn to defend, and Mbuyu can't do everything. That's just my personal opinion, but it's not me. Sitting in 5th place. It was 4th, and then Fuego won, so thanks, Fuego, for ruining the 3-4 and 1-2 matchup. Kind of bitter about that. Ford Madison FC, everyone's favorite team. It was a rough start to the Matt Glazer era. They were struggling to score. They were struggling to even get inside the box. Chip, do not say anything. Quiet over there. They were struggling in all those facets, but there was at least a plan. It was just that the players weren't gelling. They had a couple injuries early on, but that doesn't make up for the fact that this team just looked rigid. And then something happened starting late May. They played Charlotte, and they seemed to have found their rhythm. And with that, they got into the month of June, and that's when they really started taking off, getting key wins against Greenville, against Richmond, getting a win at home against Tucson, and still up until the final game of the month, which was a game that I don't remember happening, which is fine. Madison was going unbeaten, 5 matches unbeaten. I think that was an important momentum swing for them. I think a lot of it had to do with getting players like Andrew Wheeler-Omeniu healthy. They got Derek Gebhardt healthy, and Mateus Cassini was definitely playing like a guy that knew he had the talent that people were buying into when a Serie A team decides to bring him in. There are still question marks on this team. They still have only kept 1 clean sheet against Richmond in the first iteration of the Henny Derby. And they also won the second iteration of the Henny Derby, just so everyone's aware. There are questions defensively, whether it has been miscommunications, whether it's getting caught on the counterattack, whether it has been goalie mishaps. And we're going to see how the goalie mishaps is going to go forward, because they brought in a new keeper in a trade with Tampa Bay. They also still have Parker Smith. So between those two, we'll see if Ford Madison's defense will improve and stop letting in goals. But the attack seems to be a bit more balanced. The midfield has found its rhythm. And now it's just a matter of, can Ford Madison continue to try and keep this positive type of play? It feels like they are climbing towards being a playoff team. How high they'll go, I don't know. Top 2 is probably a long shot, but it's not impossible. Hosting a playoff game is very much doable. It just depends, obviously, on how other teams around them do, and also how Union Omaha does with their games in hand. I think there's going to be another move or two, just because there are some areas that are still thin. But if you have Mikey Maldonado, who has been everywhere and anywhere, still able to play, you have Mitch Osmond and Eric Leonard kind of manning the back as much as possible. And then with the striker rotation of Nazim Bartman, Jeremiah Strang, and Abdul Bakay Jam, they have at least gotten goals from their strikers, something that they struggled with the last 3 years. So hopefully that doesn't dry up. Otherwise, it's gotten to a point where to stop Cassini, you just got to kick him to the ground and hope for the best. And As long as Cassini can keep stringing the passes together and kind of connect in the midfield to attack, Ford Madison's attack should be better. And like I said, it's all depending on how the defense is going to do. The defense definitely has to be better if Ford Madison wants to have higher aspirations. I think right now, playoff is very much doable, but if they want to get that home playoff game, if they want to contend for a title, the defense has to clean itself up, and the goalie, whoever it is, cannot make mistakes, because that has costed them a couple wins. So that's Ford Madison in a nutshell. Now we get to bring in someone. You're going to get sick of us talking, so we got someone else, and they are from El Fuego Pod. So I'm going to let them in. Chris Lefty Brown, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to give you the solo cam for you to talk about Fuego.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and fan of the show. So Fuego. Fuego has a long history, mostly in the PDL, and then USL Championship came calling, and we had Fresno FC, and the owner there would be tarred and feathered if he came back to Fresno. He's now ensconced in Monterey Bay, and it sort of left us in shambles. There's stories that I cannot tell about what went down and how Fuego got back to Fresno, but we have this new ownership team for the Fuego. This is their first season in League One, and there's a lot of worry from our just not even touching the players and the performance. Just there's a lot of worry about our front office, and they are very much a learn as you go. I mean, you already know about our fantastic beer prices at the stadium. And so now they're negotiating things, supposedly. And this has been a constant thing. It's like, oh, $20 for parking. Oh, well, now it's only $15 if you're a season member. And, and if you've seen the feeds, the stadium is in flux. They're just now getting to build in new bleachers. And so there's this constant worry that the wheels are going to fall off, and we may be short-lived again. We're all hoping, they learn. And we're all hoping we can make it through. So there's that concern to worry about on top of how our players are doing. So you may know that the head coach, Martin Vasquez, is our third head coach we've had. We had a beloved head coach, Profe, who teaches he's an institution locally. And he stepped down right before the season started, and was replaced by another person who has a long history with the Fuego, and that's Milton Blanco. And so we started off the season with him, and started really strong. We did that fantastic performance against El Paso in the Open Cup. We started together a few wins at the beginning against some of the people who gathered here tonight. And then we got Martin Vasquez, and things went topsy-turvy. The gameplay was different. And in a sense, there's this consensus on El Fuego Pod that Martin Vasquez, make sure I get that right. Yeah, Martin Vasquez has is not letting Fuego be Fuego. And we're not exactly like Charlotte Independence, where it's like all attack, no defense. But we used to make chances, and now we're a team that sort of looks for chances. And so, case in point, our win over the Hailstorm just last night. There was a chance, and we took it. We looked for a mistake. We looked for, whether it be by the rough or not. We looked for a mistake, and we take it. Another case in point is our win over Forward Madison. where we had that one loop ball over your guys' keeper. And so we want to get back to being a team that makes chances, and the team on the field is very capable of that. They're all pretty much talented. I had my doubts about a couple players, but I'll just say, if you notice, how our defense has sort of been a little uneven, would be the polite way of saying that. We are blessed with the Ofek Ant-Man, who will is beloved here already. He hails from Israel, and he loves it in Fresno, and who knows, because he's that good, if he'll be around next season, so yeah, the talent is there. It just seems like they're being told that they have to play a certain way, and so when our attack goes forward, they sort of have to middle around and make passes and look for something to open instead of creating chances. We had a Cheney, who in prior matches and in seasons before used to get himself off sides a lot because he was always pushing, and that's not happening enough this season. And so at Fuego Pod, we're all hopeful, but we're just majorly worried. We've gone to like, hey, we're going to rule this league. We're going to teach him that, you don't fuck with Fresno. And now it's like, fuck, I hope we make playoffs. So there's that. The talent is there. They just need to be used right. If I had my druthers, I wish we would have one more coach by going backwards and getting Milton back as our head coach. But those are decisions that only lives in my dreams, I guess.
I was going to say, get the beer prices down. Let's start with that. Get the beer prices down, and then we move up.
Yeah, it's a constant negotiation. Like, oh, yeah, we should really get porta potties out in the parking lot, since we're letting you guys drink a lot in the parking lot. It's like, yeah, maybe you should work on that.
It gets there. It's new-ish franchise struggles, because like Fuego's not like new, but it's new to USL League One. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, this is a team. This is a front office that says, we're not going to put our merchandise online. So you have to actually go to a match to pick up a kit or a shirt, or it's messed up.
I didn't even know they had a sponsor until I watched the Greenville match. Yeah. But awesome. Thanks, Chris. Where can people find you, and where can people find El Fuego Pod?
Most of your places that you can listen to your podcasts, we are there. We are El Fuego Pod. We'll probably pop up if you just search for League One podcasts. Or you can follow us on Twitter at El Fuego Pod.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. We now get the meme king himself. Sorry, Chip. It is going to be Jackson. That's going to talk about Tormenta. And, it's kind of feels fitting that after last night, I feel like he's going to be in a good mood. So, Jackson, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, you would be correct in that assumption. I love this stupid drunk soccer league. Like, what can you say?
Stupid drunk soccer league is our new hashtag.
Like, you just can't explain it sometimes. You just have to sit back and laugh. Like, last night, I was live tweeting for Dirty South Soccer for the Atlanta United game, and that happened to kick off at the exact same time. So I was, doing my thing, watching Atlanta somehow pull out a victory after last weekend. Horrible. And I get a FootMob notification like 2 minutes in, 1-0, and a few minutes later, 2-0, and it's 3-0. And then I'm like, well, that's a wash. Like, might as well just focus on Atlanta now. And then I start getting these really excited texts from my dad, who was at the game. And he keeps updating me, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. And I'm getting all these foot mob notifications. And then suddenly I'm like split between two games. I'm trying to live tweet both on two different accounts. And when it hit 4-5, I said screw it and turned it and got an ESPN Plus pulled up on half my screen and had it just running in the background. And when that fifth goal went in, I kind of spooked my roommate with how loud I was yelling. It was something. It was, yeah. If only we could play Greenville every week.
Be careful what you wish for.
Hey, I mean, if we could play at Greenville every week, it'd be even better. But yeah, season as a whole, it's stupid and it's drunk. I mean, you get our Open Cup run early on in the season, take down Charleston Battery, you take down Birmingham Legion, you go to Inter Miami and basically outplay them. Scoreline didn't reflect it, but outplayed them. And then league-wise, not so great. Just this past couple weeks, you got, last week, your first home win all season against Chattanooga. And then you go and you beat Fresno, or Fuego in Fresno. And then suddenly you're in third in the league without ever winning just recently one home game is insane. Especially, a few months ago, we were pretty low on the table, and then you get an injury to Arthur Bosua, and Keziah Sterling was out injured recently, and you have like very few attacking options. And then the defense, well, you saw what the defense was last night. And so when you can have the kind of home form you do and still be in contention for a home field advantage first round of the playoffs is just, what can you say? The big thing this season coming in, obviously, was the departure of Marco Micheletto, Mr. Tormenta. Headed off, transferred to Columbus Crew 2 just during preseason, in the middle of preseason. And so big shoes to fill, obviously. And I think they've done a pretty good job filling those in with the return of Adrian Billhart coming back from his ACL tear last season. He's got 4 goals, 4 assists, really helping an attack that pretty much for the entirety of Tormenta's history has never been stellar. But you bring in Arthur Bosua, his injury, big loss. Keziah Sterling, he's been coming into his own recently. You saw last night, he got subbed in, changed the game, 2 goals, immediately sparked that comeback. And so those have been big things for Tormenta. But looking ahead into playoff, probably haven't made the playoffs yet, hoping to this year, you can really flip a coin with this league. The attack is playing really inspired, as you saw last night. It's been really good to see them with Kingsford Adjei. He's been huge. Gabby Cabral coming up from Tormenta too. He's been a great force in the midfield. Brought Alex Morel back. He's been great. Jamil Roberts getting more action recently. He scored a banger last night. And so despite a lot of these injuries, like also on defense, Lars Eckenrode, he's like perpetually injured. Love the man, but man, it's really a test of the team's character, the team's strength, their depth, to see if they can make that playoff berth for the first time. Last thing, home field advantage, I guess, obviously isn't the thing that as important as you would expect it to be, but with the new stadium coming along eventually, that should be a massive boost to this team. The home form combined with all the Georgia Southern is building a practice facility right outside Eric Russell Park. The atmosphere, the entertainment value is not there, and that's a little bit reflected in the attendance figures, unfortunately. But yeah, especially if you can't pull off a home win, you're losing 4-0 at home to Central Valley. People might not be as likely to show up. So the new stadium, a real home, will be big. I know they're planning on opening sometime next month. Waiting on a shipment of sand to complete the final layer before sod goes on the field, which like me and some others are like, why don't we just go down on the coast with some shovels and buckets and get that sand for you? I don't know how there's a sand shortage, but specific sand for specific grass for a specific field that should hopefully help out with the home field advantage and get more butts and seats. And yeah, hopefully have improvements across the board. All the teams, women, Tormenta 2, women playing this Sunday in the semifinals of the W League. So things are really on the upswing for Tormenta right about now. And when we can move into a stadium, not fully finished, but hey, it's got lights. Yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to things to come, and hopefully playoff bound.
And Chip put a good comment in there. Omaha's field has plenty of sand, so if you just want to make that trip up, feel free to do so.
Yeah, maybe haul some down. We'd appreciate it.
We'll send some your way.
Thank you, Jackson, for joining us. If anyone wants to follow you, where can they follow you? What are your Twitter handles or Instagram or TikTok if you have it?
Unfortunately, not TikTok. I leave that to Bolt. Twitter, you can find me at Jackson_Popkin. Doing a lot there. If you want anything Tormenta Atlanta United, come at me.
Bolt has a TikTok?
Bolt does have a TikTok.
Well,
You
shit.
know what?
I'm getting a TikTok tonight then.
Look, I have TikTok.
There's some
I
heat
do it
on
for
there.
watch.
I'll tell you.
Let me go follow Bolt right now. Anyway, yes, make sure to watch Tormenta matches because there's a guarantee that there's going to be some fucking chaotic nonsense. It's just a fact. So, thank you, Jackson. And last of our guests to join us. He's been patiently waiting for a long time, but that's because his team finished second. Or not finished. They're currently second. Maybe I'm foreshadowing. They may not have won the Henny Derby, but they're still second in the table. They're still being the classic team that's going to contend. They're still a team that's somewhat struggling on the road, but a dominant force at home. Matt, hello there.
Hey, you had to wake me up from that nap. Some of other people had to talk before me. Weird. I wonder what that's about. Yeah, so they wanted me to talk 5 minutes about why kickers are getting their 5th star this year. Yes, 5th star, because we've been around for more than 5 minutes, like everybody else in this league. So if you look through, table right now, technically second place. Got a game in hand behind Greenville. Play Greenville, this weekend at home. As aforementioned, we'll get into this more later. Pretty good at home. Also, Greenville just gave up 5 goals in like 30 minutes, last night. They're gonna be hurting. Let's get to the reasons why the kickers are great, why the kickers are amazing, why the kickers are finishing on top this year. If you paid attention to the Walking 90 Twitter feed over the last couple of days, they've all been releasing their team of the half season picks. It is almost unanimous that one Mr. Jonathan Bolaños is the MVP of the season thus far. Only one of you had a bad opinion and picked somebody else. Is a wrong opinion, verifiably, because Jonathan Bolaños has played in, I believe it is 9 games this year, because he missed about a month being out with injury. He started 8 of those games. In those 8 games he has started, in every single game, he has scored a goal or contributed an assist. Every single start this year. That is why he is your MVP right now. That is why enjoy your next 15 games plus playoffs of getting to see him in this league. He ain't going to be in this league next year. That is done deal already. But you look at those other picks that the rest of this great panel has put together. Akira Fitzgerald unanimously picked into one of those teams. But then you also had 4 other guys, get picked, and 3 of them get picked by multiple people. This team has a lot of depth. This team has a lot of quality depth available, to them. It's not just, a couple of guys, and, a bunch of randoms like in past years. This team, can go deep. We look at, those wing positions. Blonage is out. Okay, no big deal. We have Matt Bentley. He came up from USL2. He's got 4 goals and some assists. He's not having a great game. Let's put in Wayne Gordon, former Jamaican international. He's come on strong. He's got 3 goals, a few assists right now. You want a different taste? Leo Bima, Argentine, killer left foot, puts in crosses, picks out people's heads, no problem. That's not even getting to classic guys like Matt Bolduc, who has fallen off the depth chart a little bit in recent times. Get in the midfield, you have your Neil Vigneaults, you have your Ethan Bryant, you have your Zaka Morans. We've lost Nathan Awney recently out of the defense. Picked by half this panel, being one of the team of the years. He hasn't been available for the last few weeks. No problem. Dakota Barnathan, he's able to step right in, and the defense is performing better right now, as a result. So pick a spot. There's going to be, a guy who can step right in, so we're not going to get, in trouble if somebody gets hurt down, the stretch is going to be somebody, that can step into that spot. One guy I didn't mention, the 2-time, defending MVP Golden Boot winner, Emiliano Terzaghi. Yeah, he's still around. I've mentioned like 8 guys before him. You might think he's having an off year. Oh no, 7 goals still. He second in the Golden Boot race, and we haven't even got a penalty yet, so he hasn't been able to stack his stats with penalties either. So even on an off year for him, he's scoring every other game right now. This team can score goals. This team will score goals. That shouldn't be the concern. The home form. This was reference coming into this. Last 2 seasons, the Kickers have lost 2 home games. Both those games, not because the other team beat the Kickers. It's because the Kickers beat themselves. 2 1-0 home losses on own goals. That ain't going to happen for a 3rd time in 2 seasons. So the rest of the league. You want to knock us off this year, you better hope that we're not at home throughout the playoffs, because it ain't happening, there. Road form, not as great. I'll fully admit that. But I think there's this myth going around that the Kickers are a disaster on the road. They're 8th in the road table right now. And because we've played a lot of home games, we haven't played many away games yet. So 7 points from 6 away games. Not perfect, not terrible, though. And, already ahead of the pace that the team had last year for away points. So they pick up even a couple more wins. They're outpacing that pace from last year, and they're going to be well positioned combined with the home form to have those home games in the playoffs. What else do I want to talk about? The defense, pretty good. You look at the table, 2nd in goals against. That's only because Omaha doesn't play games at all, so they can't give up goals. Look at every league in the world. What's really the better indicator of who the better teams are? Not necessarily wins, not necessarily points on the table. It's usually goal difference, right? That's usually how you can tell over the course of the season who's performing well, who's performing better. So you need look at this table right now. We've mentioned how many times in this podcast about 4 teams have a positive goal difference. Yeah, the Kickers are in double digits on that, plus 13 right now. Greenville's next closest at 6. So when we win big. When we lose, it's only been by 1. And even in each of those losses, only one of those didn't have a lead either. So in every game along the way, I could probably talk about other stuff, but yeah.
I think
Kickers are good.
I've been covering. Yeah, I was going to say Richmond is definitely looking like one of the top 2 teams. I'd be shocked if they didn't finish there. So thank you very much, Matt. Where can people find you on social media?
Personally, I'm at RVA is Red. You can follow us, River City 93. You hear Elliot do his thing all the time on here anyway, so you probably know that information already.
That is true. No, thank you very much, Matt, for joining us. I hope that you have a good night. Thank you for being patient for waiting.
All good. Thank you, guys.
And last but not least, the team that is currently at the top of the table as of right now. That could always change, but it is we make fun. We've poked at it. The coach might leave. It's just possible. Or they might blow a 4-0 lead. Who knows? But Brandon,
Big
you get to
brain.
close it all up with it is a big brain, except there's still the whole thing of expansion franchises.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So they posted that John Hart's won Coach of the Month earlier, and I saw the Tulsa president like commenting like, "Great work, coach." And I bristled a little bit. I was like, "Bro, you better back off. Like, that's my coach. Get out of here with that. You're flirting with my coach over here. Get out of here." So yeah, because they're as far as I know, Tulsa's looking for a coach. So Tulsa just hands off. All right, leave us.
I'm just saying they're gonna start sending those you up texts.
I'm telling you. I mean, that's what it was. He said, "Hey, great work, coach." No one else commented. Just the president of Tulsa. He knew what he was doing.
Where's that
He knew
edible
what he was
arrangement at when you need it? Where is it?
I said, I about sent something. I about posted a comment. I held back though.
It's Tulsa, so they probably sent him like a dozen hot dogs and chili.
Yeah.
Look, it's not Skyline chili, so
Probably better
You leave
for it.
Skyline out of this.
it's terrible. Anyway.
Whoa.
Anyway, I won't take too long. You look at Greenville and Richmond right now. Obviously, and this is not a knock on any other team in the league. I love this league. It's so fun. And a lot of teams, most of the teams, if not all the teams, have the potential to be great. But you look at Greenville and Richmond, and you see the two most complete teams in the league right now, as far as just how they're performing. Now, if you watched this game last night, and it was your first experience with League One, you would probably get very different ideas about these teams, like how they actually play, or not how they play, but how they typically decide games and things like that, considering both teams are pretty defense heavy this year. I think both teams these were two teams that had scored or had conceded under 20 goals, which is not very common for the league right now. Until last night, both of them jumping up over that, or one of them jumping up over the 20 mark, and Tormenta and Greenville jumping to 18. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's the issue there with the 5 goals that we conceded. I mean, the defense, as always, is kind of our thing. We've got a really good defense that communicates well, that's sturdy, and even with all the injury issues we've had there, you'd be hard pressed to find a better defensive setup in the league. Obviously, there's plenty of people who disagree with that, and that's okay. I think the key for Greenville this year is to finishing out the season. One is our second half performances. You look at last night, obviously 3 goals in, that last 45 minutes. And I mean, that's obviously it's a bit skewed because we got scored on 3 times the second half last night, but 10 of our 18 goals have come in the second half. And not only that, but 10 of our 18 goals also have come in the last 15 minutes of each, or the 15 minutes on each side of the half. So the 15 minutes before and the 15 minutes after, we've conceded more goals than anywhere else in the game. And then also we've conceded more goals in the second half than anywhere else. So, there's those issues right there on either side of the half. And specifically just closing games out. So that's something that I think, we've seen and experienced. And there's reasons for that. I think just, bringing new guys in kind of that second team area has been a bit of an adjustment. I don't think any of our guys are not worthy of playing for the team or getting minutes or anything like that. But it's just, when you don't play all the time, it takes time to adjust to being with a bunch of new players. And so we've got that little bit of a curve that I think as the season goes on, a lot of those players who aren't getting as many minutes will get a little more, they'll gel a little bit more with their teammates and things like that. But really the thing is, I talked about this last time that I was on the pod, like the thing for Greenville is just finishing chances that we put in there. We had one of the highest XGs in the league, and we were creating the most chances in the league the last time I was here. And I think we're still pretty close to that. But we weren't putting as many in the back of the net as we would like. And so that's going to be big going forward is just finishing those chances. And there's a lot of reasons that, like Richmond, for example, has been scoring so much. I think this league is just becoming so much more transitional, and we're going to see a lot more. I think we're going to see a lot more 5-5s. But defending those 1v1s and things like that are going to become a lot more common. And so I think for us getting into more dangerous positions quicker, like we generally are good at doing, is going to be key into this second half of the season. I mean, you look at the people on our team, to be honest, like when I was putting my team together, I was just trying my hardest not to be biased. I left out players who I thought should be in there just because I didn't want to have too many Greenville players on my team. But I mean, I really think that for the most part, this team is performing and lights out. I mean, we look really complete. And if we can actually put some of those balls that are, really close. I mean, honestly, some of it, you look at like Ant-Man and Olsen, those games we played recently. I mean, we've had so many shots that have been ridiculously close to going in, and keepers have just done a really good job of saving those, to be honest. Obviously not all of our shots have been, perfect or anything like that, but we've put in a lot of good chances. We've put in a lot of dangerous chances, and it's just a matter of now getting those in the back of the net. I think Labovitz is going to be incredible coming into this last bit of the season. He's already been incredible. His movement is so good running off the last shoulder, and just also linking play and things like that. So I really like what I've seen from him already. 7 goals right behind Garrett McLaughlin, and hasn't even played all of our games. And so I'm excited for that. And I mean, I'm of the opinion that Gavalanis is, this is his last season with us, and that's okay. Like, he's moving up, and he's doing incredible already. He's added goals to his game, and honestly deserves more assists than he has. And so I think all of our players are playing well, playing fantastically, and it's just a matter now of finishing games out and executing in the final third. I really think Greenville is going to be in the top 2 come the end of the season. I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think we're going to see another 5-5 from Greenville. I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I think I really think you'll see us in that top 2 spot, maybe 1 or 2 when the end of the season comes, just because we even have players coming back from injury who are arguably first team ready, as far as talent goes. And so, just constant starter worthy. So I'm excited, and I think we'll continue to see this dominance stick around come the end of the season.
Awesome. All right, I'll take off the solo cam. And we're done with all the team previews and reviews. Go us. It only took an hour and 15 minutes. Let's get to the fun shit. Expansion news. We did well. We did well. And we do, and honestly, we do appreciate everyone that was able to jump on. Make sure to follow them. Make sure to support everything that they're doing, because they're putting in fantastic work, and you get a good idea of what's going on with their respective teams. So make sure to follow each and every one of them. Let's talk about Santa Barbara.
Wait, was it Knoxville?
No. Knoxville thought they were being slick.
They thought they were being real, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I bit hard.
I did too. Don't worry. It was they got me good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. USL League One literally was like, y'all really thought it was going to be that obvious, and they just threw a curveball. And then I come to find out it was laying out in plain sight. No one just saw it.
Yeah, they tweeted it out like 12 hours before the announcement, said, hey, we're going to League One, with the same graphic the league used.
Like,
and this is what happens when you don't fully. You got to do a deep dive. But I feel like no one would have guessed it. Like, you would have had to legitimately be on the biggest rabbit hole to try to find it. There's no way anyone was going to find it. But yeah,
where did Santa Barbara come from? Like,
out of nowhere, like an RKO.
A lot, yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Santa Barbara will be joining USL League One in 2024. I'm pretty sure this is now going to be the #1 away day destination for everyone in the league.
They're adding a men's and women's in 2024.
Exciting stuff. So they will be in the USL W League, which make sure to check that out. The playoffs have started. We got potential chaos match number 2 in Greenville Liberty playing Tormenta. And then on the other side, it is going to be Minnesota Aurora against, why am I drawing a blank on who Minnesota's playing?
Oh,
God damn it. Sorry.
Oof.
Someone else.
A team that did really well. Someone look it up for me. Anyway, check out USL W League as well. Like I said, playoffs. Fans, it's definitely been a successful first year, I would say, for plenty of these teams. I mean, Minnesota Aurora, Greenville, Tormenta, obviously they're drawing in large crowds, getting good results. Indy 11 also contributing. So shout out to them. But yeah.
It's McLean W League. I have no idea what who that team is.
Shout out to them, though.
Yeah, shout out to them because they're in the playoffs now.
Never heard of them, but good work. Good work.
I've heard of the other 3, so I feel like I'm doing good.
Go follow them on Twitter or something.
Go follow them on Twitter. I still want Minnesota Aurora to win, but make sure to follow them on Twitter. What? I got the kid. It's the closest team to me. Like, okay, that's not true. Green Bay is, but I got the kit. Fire kit. I got to support clubs with fire kits.
Okay.
It's just a fact, but I don't know. Where was I going with this? Oh, Santa Barbara. What the hell should we expect from them? Are we like, what vibe do you think Santa Barbara is going to bring? Do you think it's going like they're going to try and obviously be competitive, but do you think it's going to be kind of more the Ford Madison area where it's, trying to be more of a personality, trying to put themselves out there? Is it going to be more of a Charlotte where we don't know, or Fuego where we don't know what the fuck they're doing? Literally, we don't know what happens. Is it going to be somewhere more in the middle where most of the other teams are?
Well, I think, Kyle, you buried the lead a bit. We got to talk about who their owner is.
Yes. I can't believe I left this out because
you're the Liverpool guy, even.
Former Liverpool CEO Peter Moore is one of the main investors. So that's a pretty big fucking deal.
It's a huge deal.
This isn't going to be a guessing game for them. They're probably going to be one of the most both on and off the field competitive teams that come into the league.
I honestly think too, with the pedigree that they brought in, I think they're going to be a team that tries to develop guys to sell on, kind of like what we're seeing with NCFC right now. Maybe not the youth players, but I think they're going to try to play guys up, sell guys on, really kind of bring like how soccer is everywhere else in the world that's not the United States of America is what they're going to be doing. And I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it's been a complaint for a while that there's been no West Coast teams. So then this year we got Fuego. Next year, maybe we'll get Monterey. I don't know. Who knows what's going on up there?
Spokane's coming next year.
Spokane's coming. Lane United's been rumored for a long time. Ballard outside of Seattle has been rumored for a long time, to the point where they have people watching the games from the bushes outside the stadium because it sells out. Boise's rumored. So all of a sudden you have nice little clumps in California and the Pacific Northwest of teams. And, that could be the next hot spot because the Southeast certainly has enough teams.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that being said, Papadakis, if you're listening, let's have some more Midwest teams. Let's fast track some of those.
We only have 2. We're getting a third. Like, just put one that like I could do a day trip for.
What's a day trip from Madison though?
Rochester, Minnesota, not Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, I mean, I want like Des Moines.
Des Moines? Okay.
Des Moines C though, unfortunately.
But they're going to championship.
I think
you could hope.
There's got to be a few more cities in Wisconsin that could have a team potentially, right?
In League One, I don't think so.
Move Minneapolis City right on up.
I mean,
yeah, that's a good one.
Crows.
So we're just gonna wait for Nisa to fall again for the 3rd time, and then just take all those teams, and there you go. There's your Midwest.
I don't think we want most of those teams, and they also don't have anybody in the Midwest.
We'll take the Bobcats. We'll take the Bobcats.
Yeah,
Bobcats.
Cal United seems to be competent enough.
Yeah, Chattanooga is their only is the most Midwestern team they have, and it's a Southern team.
I almost said Chicago House, and I forgot that whole shit show.
Yeah, we don't.
They're still a team? Oh.
Yeah, they're in the Midwest Premier League.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's like the league that Lansing Commons in.
And Bavarians.
Oh.
But yeah, no. You know who will never have a expansion franchise, though? Portland, Maine, a.k.a. the biggest con It's got to be one of the biggest cons in lower league soccer.
They they got far enough for the league to promote their merch line and just said, never mind, we're good.
Sold the merch and dipped immediately.
Well, that's
didn't do anything.
That's
Could
like
not tell you what they've been doing.
Yeah, that's like the craziest thing. Both them and New Hampshire for like the longest time were like every other week there was an article from the league about like, oh, soccer's coming to Portland, Maine, or like Charlie Dennis in New Hampshire or whatever. And they haven't posted anything like 18 months about either of those teams. Meanwhile, we're getting like Santa Barbara with the ex-CEO of Liverpool pop up, and it's like, what?
How?
Like, I love expansion rumors. I don't think until that team was announced I'd ever heard someone say Santa Barbara.
No,
that was like the best kept secret.
Right. Like the only thing close is that Riverside team, which is the Riverside even in LA? Regardless, the Riverside team that Roma was allegedly starting, but then like nothing's happened in that for like 3 years. But that was like the closest I've ever heard to anything out there.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like NOLA kind of came out of nowhere and they just got announced for a championship. But NOLA was another one that's just like,
that one threw me off.
It felt like everyone was like, oh, NOLA should probably have a team. And then that was it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, NOLA's getting a team.
Oh, I was ready.
I'm just telling you, I'm not making that trip.
No, and that is going to be the messiest away day in history.
That's going to be one where you get like 200 supporters from a team show up. By game time, there's like 50 of them left.
There was like, and then by the time they're supposed to board their flight, there's 5.
Right, like everyone's just like in a gutter with a hand grenade in their hands.
They've got a beignet in one hand and like a PBR in the other. They're like, how did I end up here? They're at Essence Fest just trying to figure out life.
They show back up to Tampa speaking in a Creole accent. And it's like, it is a long away trip.
Everybody's wearing lilac all of a sudden. It's just...
And no one's driving there. Everyone's gonna be flying. So you're gonna get to an airport and you're just gonna see a bunch of people just zombie walk out. And it's like, oh,
they were at a NOLA game. Yeah,
I know you did.
I've never been to NOLA, but I gotta imagine like the airport on like a Sunday morning at NOLA is pretty similar to like the airport in Las Vegas. Just at
all times.
Yeah, just like husks of human beings, just like trying to find their flight.
Everyone has on the same Mardi Gras beads that they came in with.
The same sunglasses that got handed out as a swag item.
Just like 1,000-yard stare in their eyes because all the lights gone.
Oh man!
But yeah, I was ready to die on the hill that they shouldn't be League One. I was like, there's no way that USL would let someone put a League One franchise in New Orleans. That's a market that has top tier pro soccer. It's like one where it's like, this has to be a USL championship team, especially if we want to keep MLS out.
Chip, New Orleans is a run-on sentence, so you got to make sure you say it all together.
Nolans.
There you go.
Nolans.
There you go.
It's got to pretend like I'm a drunk crocodile or something.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, Godspeed to anyone that makes that away day trip.
Hey, better USLC fans than us.
There wouldn't be a show.
The last thing we need is a trip to New Orleans.
We'll all go to New Orleans together.
Oh no.
We'll see.
The league would reach out and say, hey, we want you guys to do like a live show in New Orleans before a game. Just like,
no, you don't.
No, you don't. You really don't want that.
Can you send us to Wichita, maybe?
Nope,
How about Rochester, Minnesota? Like that sounds great.
There's a Mayo Clinic right there. Yeah, put it in Rochester. If anything goes wrong, there's a large hospital. No, you cannot have us go down there. Oh man, it would be great, but it would be dangerous.
Sir. Not yet, but in the story,
Kyle, you have 2 kids. What are you doing? Living. What do you think? All right, we are definitely running longer on time, but I feel like we gotta get to one of the biggest things that we have done. Thank you, Brandon, for all of your work in creating the graphics, but we had our mid-season teams of the year. So I feel as though we kind of need to go over what our parameters were so we all of us did a first team and a second team, and you had to pick at least one player from each team. So there was fair representation
over between both.
the two teams. Yeah, you didn't need one from each for the starting. Just out of the 22 players, you had to have at least one from each team. Some teams had a little bit more representatives than others, which isn't surprising. And if you were Eboni, you just said fuck it on defense.
I mean, the league said fuck it on defense, so that's not my fault. That is not my fault. The team said defense. What's that? Like,
you can.
So
do
then
that?
we have that, and then we also had our within the graphic. If it was gold, it was the MVP list. So the MVPs, as Matt had mentioned earlier, most of us picked Jonathan Bolaños, except for Chip, who picked Garrett McLaughlin, which not a bad pick.
Fair.
It's a fair pick, at least. It's not like
for sure.
I do have a bit on that, especially after last year when Damia Viadere was definitely the best player in the league. But despite that, we all knew it was going to be Emilio Terzaghi. And that's because this league, for the MVP, just picks the highest goal scorer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I knew I was going to piss. I thought Yogi was going to be on, so I was going to piss him off by not picking Bolaños.
who was the 2020 MVP? I'm trying to blank.
Terzaghi.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So other than 2019, where it was Arturo Rodriguez, and that was just because not only did he provide a lot of goals, he was just ridiculous. So since then, yes, the goal scorer has definitely won it. But we'll get to the teams. We had some other awards that we wanted to go through, and I feel as though we should touch on some of them. So one of the things that we had tried to pick was what was the vibes match of the mid-season. Eboni, you go first, because I haven't pulled up in front of me, but what was your vibes?
My vibes, it's always fun to beat a rival, and it's always fun to beat them the way we did. So my vibes match was the 2-0 win of NCFC over Charlotte Independence. That was my vibes.
And going with the rivalry theme, I went with the second Henny Derby match, Ford Madison winning 2-1 against Richmond to clinch the Henny Derby. It was, and not only because the match itself was pretty entertaining, but the stadium was rocking. It felt like 2019, which was a feeling that most of us had not had in a couple of years. So it was kind of like just being there was awesome. I had coworkers saying, "Oh, I saw you at the match." It's like, no, you didn't. You did not.
Nope.
Didn't happen. Yogi had Richmond winning against Charlotte 4-0. I guess that's fair. But Chip, Brandon, do you guys have a vibes match of the mid-season?
Yeah, I cheated a bit. I was going to go with one of the Open Cup games that Omaha played against MLS teams. But then to keep with the League One theme, I'm going to say Union Omaha versus NoCo in the Open Cup, which is technically not a League One game, but had two League One teams. It was awesome. You know, as everyone knows, everyone's joked about Omaha plays at a baseball stadium for our games, which is, you know, it is what it is. But we played at a soccer specific stadium. It was super cool. The crowd there and how it interacted and just the environment was really great. And then we won 2-0. We got to see Eamon put on one of his famous Irish sweaters. We all got to heckle him for it. And got to see him get kicked out of the game. Exciting time, good time by all. And like everyone else, I picked a homer pick of one where my team won. So that's my vibes game of the year.
Fair. And Brandon, what was yours?
Dang, I'm the only one that didn't pick a homer. I mean, fine. Greenville versus Madison 2-0 win. No,
I got to do that to me. No, that was not a vibe.
I wasn't going to pick one. I wasn't going to pick one of my team. No, I would agree with the second Henny Derby. I mean, that was for me one of my favorite matches to watch this season. So that's the one I'm going with. But yeah, just to make Kyle mad. That's first. Fair. Yeah.
And then we're just gonna assume that the 5-5 was everyone's chaos match of the year. So we were filling this out before this match happened. So
before this match, I had the 7-1 Chatta game because that was just insane. But then 5-5 happened.
Yeah, I went ahead and changed mine. I changed mine immediately after like last night. I just like logged on to the Google Docs. Like I can't keep this one.
Yeah, I had Fuego Charlotte 3-3 where it was just neither team wanted to defend late in the game, and it was like Charlotte was up, and then Fuego equalized it 2-2. Then Charlotte got a late goal, and then Fuego got a goal at the last second off of a ridiculous like deflection or volley. I don't know what it was. And that I thought was, and that was like the second or third game of the season. So
I was gonna say,
like,
that's how crazy this league is. That game was the highest scoring game that we had seen in a while, and then 7-1 happened, then 6-2 happened, and then 5-5 happened. It's just, what is this league?
It's beautiful. It's everything I've ever hoped and dreamed of soccer.
Yeah, that was for me. Like I was just like. I felt confident that was going to be the most chaotic game, and then it was like, nope.
It's that bitch you thought.
Yeah.
Yogi had Chatta again. I don't know if it was. I think he means Chatta against Madison, which I don't know if that was really that chaotic, but I don't know.
It was
chippy. I don't know if it was chaotic.
Yeah.
We didn't get the chaos yet.
Yeah. It was too chippy to be chaotic.
True. And then we did pick vibes and chaos players, but we'll post that on Twitter. It's also we just been on for a while. So let's go through teams of the year. Who wants to go first? Not me, because I need to grab my laptop charger. So I'll just throw it at Eboni.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna hit the highlights. We pretty much all kind of were consistent in our forwards of some kind of combination of Para, McLaughlin, Mbuyu, Terzaghi, depending on if you had space in your forward versus midfield, Bolaños. We kind of all were in that same realm, if we want to say so. So I had Mbuyu, McLaughlin, Para in my forwards, Bolaños, Shaw, Scarce, and Smart in my midfield. Defense was the hardest thing for me to choose because, man, where is there defending in this league? Oh, nope, I definitely just read Kyle's. Mine was Mbuyu, McLaughlin, and Galindres. But also because I had Para in my second team. So, like, it's, again, all the same. Bolaños, Ibarra, Perez, and Billhart in my midfield. And then Maldonado, Schultz, and Skelton. I didn't want to go too homerish, but it felt like I did when I kept picking, like, 2 NCFC players. But that's just how good this team has been all season. Very consistent, middle of the road, but gets the job done. And then Fitzgerald for my keeper.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and go. I picked, attacking was pretty much the same thing. I had Bolaños as my MVP, and Mbuyu and McLaughlin up front. I had to pick Maldonado. That's an easy one for me up on that left wing. And then Don Smart and Bolaños for Greenville. Arthur Rogers, I think, has been an incredible player, probably one of the best players on that NoCo team outside of Para. And so, of course, I was going to pick him. And then for defense, I kind of tend towards like ball playing defenders, anyways. Defenders who are good with their feet, who can pass well, who are aggressive, and so that's why I went with Lee, Master Antonio, Osmond, people like that. Obviously, you have to put Chrysler in just because you have. And then Fitzgerald because he's just been dealing with a lot lately. Always deals with a lot and is always just really a solid keeper. And so he had to go in the first team for me. Second team, same thing. Pretty simple. Para, Galindres, TTF. I think where I kind of deviated a little bit was with Deydun and Cabral on my second team for midfield. And then I had to put Schultz. And for my defense, I cycled through Greenville players in the first team like 3 or 4 times. I had Skelton in my first team at 1.2. Just because there are a lot of really good individual defenders this year. Just do a lot of good stuff. Obviously, as a whole, defensive structures have been like non-existent, I guess. But I had a hard time picking, especially for Greenville players. So I went ahead and put Nate Schultz down in the second team just because I felt like if I put him in the first team, I get a hard time picking too many Greenville players in my first team. So yeah, and then Nuhu is my second team keeper, which whatever. He's my guy for the second. Although I am this close to including Ofeke. Honestly, he probably is the guy.
I don't know. Did everyone else go? And so am I the last one?
I gotta go still. Do you want to go first, or I can go?
You can go first.
Cool. Yeah. So first of all, I think a lot of us had the same players. I just want to give a special shout out to John over at USL Tactics. This was a really, really hard exercise, a lot harder than I thought it would be, especially because the league sucks at posting stats like anything, like not even like goals and assists, like not even like good stuff, just like even like basic stuff. It's like impossible to find. And so it took a long time sifting through stuff, trying to piece together like stats to try to pick the best team possible. And so I reached out to John at USL Tactics and said, hey, like you wouldn't happen to have your GAR from goals above replacement model that you had last year? And he said, no, I just do it at the end of the year. And I said, oh, cool. Yeah, no worries. Just trying to put together my mid-season team of the year. And this is right as I'm walking into Thor Love and Thunder. And by the time I get out of Thor Love and Thunder, he had already messaged me back and said, hey, yeah, I got bored and I was kind of curious too. So I just threw this together real quick. Here's the top 20. If you give me like another hour or two, I'll have the whole thing and I'll send it to you. I was like, oh, you did not have to do that. But thank you so much.
That's John.
Yeah, John's awesome. But yeah, so on my team, I have the same people that a lot of people have. One thing I want to point out is McLaughlin, actually, the goals above replacement model does not like McLaughlin, which I thought was interesting, especially because he has dirtied up the stat sheet so much, but I included him anyways. And actually right now, I believe the number one player in League One is Rogers from NoCo per goals above replacement, which I thought was super interesting. Yeah, on my team, I would say like I bounced my team around to a couple people before posting it to make sure I didn't do anything super dumb. And a lot of people told me that I didn't have enough Omaha players, but I think I have the right number on there. But yeah, I mean, just going through the exercise, it's crazy to see like, Madison, who's been really good lately. I have 3 players from Madison. Greenville has been really good lately. I have 3 or 4 guys from Greenville, and Richmond has a couple. And it's crazy, like with the amount of turnover that we've had in the league, the fact that we've been able to reload and we have better guys. And even though we lost so many people, I'd almost say that I think the league is better this year than it was last year, even though we have so many new faces. And it's so cool to see what I thought might have been a down year for the league just because of the level of talent we've lost. The league's managed to reload and created some incredibly exciting soccer for us to watch. I think this is the first time ever that we really haven't had like a complete runaway for first place or last place or anything like that. Even Tucson, who has not been great, is still in the playoff hunt, even though it seems like mathematically it's going to be quite a challenge. And yeah, been a fun league to cover. I'm glad that we get to do this every week. And yeah, if you want to see my team, check it out on Walkin90's Twitter.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, for me, my team was pretty much, I would say, relatively consistent with everyone else. I think the toughest area was the midfield. Like, the attack, I felt confident with the attack. I was like, okay, McLaughlin and Buyu, I knew those 2 were locked in. And that was kind of like that third forward. I was like, well, could be Galindrez, but he didn't play the whole year. Like, he was out for a while. He had a slow start. Okay, maybe not. Terzaghi, yeah, he's been really good, but if he hasn't been, I feel like he hasn't been at his peak. Okay, whatever. Like, BF, I was like, well, I do need a Fuego player. He's going to be the only one I'm picking, but is he a first team? So then I just went with Para after double checking the stats. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So the attack was relatively straightforward. Defense was a mess, but I was like, I'm throwing Maldonado, I'm throwing Breck Evans, and I'm gonna have Dangler. Cool. The second team was a lot tougher because I wanted to put someone like Eric Leonard, who I know Yogi and Chip, you had them, but it was also kind of like, I don't want to be too biased, but also, can I really pick a defense that has only kept 1 clean sheet all year? And like, can I have multiple defenders? like 2 was one thing. So I went with Mitch Osmond, I went with Hawney, and then Skeleton got it. I would have put Phelps had he not been a walking red card as well. But the midfield was tough. Like I knew I was gonna have Bolaños on there, whether you want to call him midfield or whatever. I'm putting him out on the wing. Don Smart, I felt like deserved to have a spot. He's just been, especially earlier in the season when Greenville was struggling, he was one of their key players. He was the only one that seemed to be able to kind of get that attack going while his attackers were fluffing chances. And then I was kind of like, well, Skiercy has been pretty good so far. I feel like he has been like the key guy in Omaha's midfield, even though Brito has gotten kind of more of the highlighted goals. Like Skiercy was the guy like, okay, he is like the constant factor. Rogers has been pretty good. You can literally throw any Chattanooga player out there and they like Chattanooga's midfield and then like attacking midfielders have been great. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of tough. And so I went with Tevin Shaw because I was like, well, Tucson doesn't need a player. Shaw has been the key. When he's not there, Tucson's midfield is all over the place and he at least brings some respectability as well. So I kind of struggled with it at times. I was like, I'll just have that. So the midfield is really the spot that was kind of tough just because I just didn't know how many other players. And then I had Miguel Ibarra. He's definitely played a lot better than I expected. He still owes me a signed U.S. soccer jersey, but that's a story for another day. And I don't know. Like, I feel like the keepers were relatively straightforward. Like, I feel like you could pick one of 3 between Fitzgerald, Christensen, and New. I just went with Akira because I figured let's go with, for the first team, just because I was like, I have to pick a keeper that hasn't made a blunder, like a very blatant blunder. And Christensen did against NCFC. So that was the only thing that kept me picking him for the first team. Otherwise, I think he's been really, really good this year. I had him as in my preseason. I had him as my goalie of the year. So I think overall, though, I think what it really showed was like there's, like Chip mentioned, there's a lot more depth. Like there are definitely guys that we could have put in and just didn't, whether it's because there's just been like a lot of players that have been better than them, or like Lachlan McLean's been solid, but can you really have Lachlan McLean like ahead of any of these other attackers? Like Cornwell, there's so many guys where it's like, all right, maybe like I even like NCFC, it's like I wanted to put Shokat, like Olex Alexson is doing pretty damn well if you think about it. Or on Madison's side, like you could put Andrew Wheeler-Omaniu, who's been a constant factor and maybe doesn't have the stats to show for it, but he's kind of been more present. I mean, I think there's just a lot of guys that you could easily have put in and we just didn't have enough spots. So I think that's kind of the special thing about this league is, and I'm sure when we get to the end of the season, there might be some tweaks, maybe some players kind of fall off and they don't keep their spot. Maybe someone new bursts onto the scene. So I don't know. This exercise is a lot tougher than I expected it to be. And especially on the defensive side, I was kind of like, I'm just going to throw darts at players at some point because I don't know. The defense I changed like 8 times.
You were able to find a defense? Okay.
Yeah, I was able to put at least some defenders together. It was just a matter of like, do I though? Like I said, I wanted to put I wanted to put Eric Leonard and Osmond, but I was like, can I really put them both in my second team when Fort Matt's defense hasn't been fantastic enough to warrant it and not have a single Greenville defender? I don't know. But I did want to mention when we were doing this exercise, I did realize for unanimous picks, Bolaños was a unanimous pick, Mbuya was a unanimous pick, and McLaughlin. And this was in terms of the first team for majority, Fitzgerald, Para, Gavilanes, Smart, and Maldonado. And then we were kind of split on Chrysler, Evans, and Eric Leonard. So if we had made a walk-in 90 first team, we would have had Fitzgerald at goalie. Doesn't matter about defense. Gavilanes, Smart, Bolaños as the midfielder, and then Mbuyu, Para, and McLaughlin in attack. And Maldonado, you can either throw in the midfield or throw in the defense. I don't care. He was just going to be there somewhere. So, yeah.
This was a long pod, guys. We got to the end, though.
We
We
did.
did
it.
I was going to say, we do have matches coming up, but basically just watch as many matches as you can. If you have a home match, attend it. If you have an away match, watch it, whether it's at home or with your buddies at a bar. do whatever you need to. But I don't know. Any last comments or thoughts from any of you?
Yeah, if you have a rumor about where John Harkes is going to end up, just make it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be true. Just be like, yeah, why not?
At this point, John Harkes to Man United. That's
John Harkes. John Harkes is actually going to be the head coach of the Minnesota Roar next year.
boom.
I was going to say John Harkes, ex-English coach.
England national, not an English team, but the English national team.
National team.
Men or women, it doesn't matter. Either.
Both.
We'll see how the Euros go, but men or women, John Harkes, England national team coach.
You know, John Hart's just picking out outfits for Dubai. Or not Dubai, excuse me, Qatar.
There we go. Look. We're here for you. We're here for you.
We truly are. Like, we're being nice. We have not sent John Harkes to a terrible location.
No.
England?
I mean,
okay.
He did play there though.
Right.
John, does he like beaches? Does he like beaches? Let's find out.
Yeah, if he likes beaches, he can go to Brighton. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a League One team starting up in.
Whoa. Come on. You didn't have to do that.
Quiet part out loud.
Yeah, you could at least, like, it could be a championship team. You could have said New Orleans, but you had to say Santa Barbara.
Is New Orleans a better place? I don't know.
I mean, it was at least like a step up.
Okay.
No. You know who really needs to be managing the NOLA team? There's only one man that can do it.
Who is it?
It's Ed Ogeron. He's got to do it. I need Ed Ogeron to manage the NOLA team.
And on that note, I appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight. You were all amazing. I appreciate you coming on, talking about your teams. Only 6 make it. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's your team. I know my team will be there. Good luck to everybody else. As always, we are part of the Two Sims family. Shout out to all the podcasts making moves in the scene. That's pretty much all I got. I'm not listening to him anymore. Talking about Ed fucking Ogeron coaching a League One team. It would be the most chaotic.
It is a championship team, all right?
Sorry, championship. Oh, like that makes it any better.
Yes, because it's not our problem to deal with.
They're gonna show up. God damn it. Goodbye.